calling our kitchen a commissary just to make it feel like a larger place. Put it on the poll, please, Guillermo, at LeBatard Show. Does a commissary sound twice and three times as large as a kitchen? But I just stood in open-mouthed awe in our commissary.
We're having a debate back here that commissary sounds more prison-y.
I think of the show Oz.
100%
Yeah, it
prison-y.
sounds sad.
Yeah, it does.
Put
It
some
is
money on
sad.
my books.
How about cafeteria?
I think of the Warner Brothers commissary.
A good
I don't know what
calf.
that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the studio line in Warner Brothers, they have like a cafeteria commissary type thing.
Commissary has a bad connotation. I don't like it.
All right, put it on the poll. Does commissary have a prison connotation to you? And you guys are saying that the order is cafeteria is the largest, and then after that is commissary, and then after that is kitchen?
I would say food hall goes before cafeteria.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Food hall.
Food hall.
food hall.
Food hall. I mean, you guys sound very old right now. Food halls are very popular.
On TikTok. A
Never
food
heard
hall
of
is
it.
like where you like show what you got from a store. Like, here's my food haul.
No, that's
No, that's a-
H-A-U-L.
That's a
But I'm telling you, you just said
Christ
you just said
almighty.
the phrase food hall, and in this day and age, it's a TikTok thing where I tell you everything I bought at Trader Joe's.
No, I'm talking about like there's sort of 12 places that you normally find like as a food truck.
No, I get
that
it.
are
You
all in one
meant
place.
HALL, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying when you say
You know,
it.
like food halls are becoming very popular right now.
How about food court? Now that's a phrase.
Yeah.
Food court.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
not a kitchen. It's not a commissary. It's not any of the things we're talking
It's
about.
where you go to consume.
Why'd you say that like that?
I'm
have
Jerry
to say it like
Seinfeld
that.
all of a sudden.
Yeah, right.
It's where you go to consume.
what's the deal with these food courts?
How does,
Right,
how does
exactly.
Roy sound more like Seinfeld than
Seriously.
you?
Greg, your Seinfeld was terrible.
It's a terrible Seinfeld.
Regardless, I was just standing in open-mouthed awe in our food hall commissary food court kitchen as Billy and Greg Cody had a grand avalanche of college football opinions. They just did a college football post-game show in there where I've never seen the two of them so engaged and having so many opinions on college football. And I asked Roy while he was making toast, I'm like, why don't they do this on the air? Why don't either one of them care about this when we're like paying them to?
I mean, we're just talking around the commissary, Dan.
Yeah.
You know, last segment we had to talk about the Dolphins and the Marlins. We're here for
Right.
college. You're ready.
Yeah.
We have solutions for the CFP. We have better teams that could have played in the game yesterday. What do you want? Let's roll the dice.
Right.
But in the commissary, it's just a couple of college football fans cutting it up. That's what
Correct.
you do in the cafe.
Yeah, if you're TCU, you might as well just abandon your football program.
Yeah, fold.
You fold.
What?
Get
Yeah.
out of the sport. You never live down a loss like that with the entire country watching. TCU will never. Boy, their portal must be, the like Batwing doors in an old western right now. People scrambling to get out of Fort Worth. I mean, seriously, you never get. Oh, and I'm being half serious here. How do you survive an embarrassment like that?
How do you get there in the first place?
Right.
But that's the achievement.
By
No.
beating
Get outta
Michigan.
here.
Right, no, but like they beat Michigan, they won 13 games. They had an incredible
No.
season.
But it can't
Frauds.
feel good, to my dad's point, to have pretty much the perfect season for your team,
Right.
And then realize you're that far away.
Your
still.
your ceiling is never going to be good enough.
Sonny Dykes will never recover from this.
Right.
I'm just saying this
He
right
won't.
now. He,
He
won't
won't.
recover from it. Dan, gang, everybody listening, yesterday's national championship was the largest margin of victory by any team in a bowl game ever. Like, not in a college football champ, in any bowl game.
Right.
It was the most embarrassing bowl game that's ever happened, and it was front and center.
And I said to Billy, again, half kidding, not entirely kidding, FIU would have given Georgia a better game.
Oh, they would have put up 10 at least. The Owls would
I
have done it
stand
too.
by that. You give me FIU and 58 points,
You're sitting.
I'm making that bet.
Yep.
I'll take it. Thank you.
Thank you.
More, please.
At one point in the first half, I started counting TCU defenders just to make sure.
Just because
They were playing with enough guys.
just because Ladd was so open.
They could have played with 15 defenders. It wouldn't have helped.
Put it on the poll at LeBatard Show, Guillermo. Would TCU have won that game last night if they had 15 defenders
I
on
like
the
this
field?
game. What would it have taken for that to be a better game last night? What if they legitimately played? Georgia had to play with 9 and TCU could play with 14.
The blitzes would be hellacious.
Yeah, just blitz 9 on every play.
Samford gave him a better game. Samford, not Stanford.
That's right.
Yes.
Stanford and Sons.
They set college football back yesterday.
Yeah.
College football was set back. Dan, everybody's been talking about this. The college football playoff should be expanded. I talked to Greg. It should be reduced.
Yeah.
1 versus 2. That's
right.
all you need.
Yeah.
You don't need any more than that. This is what happens when you get cutesy wootsy and you start putting in little froggies in there at number 3. They start beating people. Then they slip their way in because Michigan's never going to get it done. They're always going to do something to mess it up for everybody. And look what they did. This is really Michigan's fault if we're going to blame anyone.
Yep.
Jim Harbaugh ruined college football last night because they went in, they blocked Nick Saban. Dan, I know that we had this conversation. You're telling me that Alabama wouldn't have put up a better game yesterday than TCU? Because you sound silly. Don't even defend yourself. You sound
This
silly
sport
saying
is
that
weird
right now.
because Michigan probably would have put up a better fight, but they lost to
Anybody
TCU.
would have.
It's a
Anybody
weird
would've.
sport. It was just a bad
No.
night.
This game
no.
nearly had Ohio State in it.
No.
It should have had Ohio State in it.
If they played
Like,
10
you
times.
talk
No,
about-
it should have had Alabama in it. That's the problem.
But Ohio State was a field goal away from being in this game. And us not talking about Georgia as this unconquerable beast in this sport now, which they should be discussed as, because Kirby Smart has done a ridiculously good job. He's one of the 4 coaches that matter.
The new Saban.
They
I
have
gotta-
a 40-year-old quarterback playing there who's older than half of the QBs in the NFL.
I got to tell you, the MVP of the game last night was David Pollock.
That was the best.
The stones on Pollock to sit right next to Nick Saban
The best part of the whole night.
and have the ability, the nerve, the gall, okay, the confidence.
The audacity. Are they positive things like
get to
nerve, gall? Like, what is it? Are they all positive things?
He's got balls. I'm reporting it right now. David Pollock has balls.
Are you going to say what he did?
Big, gigantic balls. What he did is sitting right next to Nick Saban. Thank you, Chris. I was getting to it. Right next to Nick Saban. He said Georgia has taken over the sport.
Oh, you could see the steam coming out of Saban's ears.
Big mistake, though. Big mistake.
Do you think he forgot for a moment that he was sitting next to
Oh,
Saban? Or did he,
100%.
He's a Georgia Bulldog. He
I
knew
know-
exactly what he was
But
doing.
Reese Davis was looking at him like, are you crazy?
don't do it. I care about
He
you.
poked the bear, man. Next year's going to be a bad year for the rest of college football. I'm telling you right now. After that embarrassment, Dan, you think 4 teams should make it? And they should expand to 12 so that something like this happens again. Go back to 1 versus 2, and even that, I feel like some seasons just let voters tell us who the national champion is. Let's not even have a game.
the
What's
good
the
old
point?
days.
What was the point of that game last night?
Well, the point was the semifinals, which were amazing. It was like the
Nah.
best day of college football we've had in a decade. Those 2 semifinals were amazing, and last night stunk. But it was one of those games, and Lane Kiffin talked about it on this program. He said that when I was the offensive coordinator at Alabama, there was 9 games you won when you walked off the bus. And that was a game that Georgia won when they walked off the bus. Shitty that it was in the national championship, but Georgia won that game when they got off the bus because they're just stronger, better, and faster than TCU. I feel bad for them.
The CFP should be a 2-team playoff. Every year it should be Georgia and Alabama. Give them the entire season just to prepare for that game.
Agreed.
Every
Yeah,
year.
every year. Same
every
2
year.
teams every year.
But the thing is that like I was thinking about this on the way in because the inclination is to think that it's just Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State can do this. Even Michigan trips up at every available opportunity when they get into big moments. And yet you think that there are so many programs that are leaving something behind. When you think of like Texas A&M, considering how much they spend, how well they recruit. USC, considering where they are located. Texas is a program that should be able to compete like this.
Miami.
I mean, honestly, I haven't mentioned the Florida schools. I would put Florida and Florida State in that conversation as well. As teams that should be able to compete on this level, it is their failures as programs, not... yes, Georgia are incredible. Kirby Smart is the one guy off the Saban tree who's been an enormous success as a head coach. But there are 7 or 8 programs that are leaving a lot on the table because they're incompetent.
What a brutal finish for TCU to have the casual guy like Greg Cody wander over and just dismiss everything they did this year, including a week ago, play one of the great games that we've seen against Michigan to knock off a Michigan team that was awfully physically strong. And we were a week removed from Stugotz marveling at holy shit, TCU looks like they're fielding a bunch of pros when they play against Michigan. But I think what you're about to see, which does concern me for the future of college football, is as the money continues to grow, the top of the SEC, I don't mean to say that Ohio State or Michigan can't compete in a game or two, but if I play 10 times, the top of the SEC is swamping everybody. And it's just closer to being professional football than the rest of what it is that you're watching, because we were awfully impressed, or I was, by TCU all season long. Kansas State was good. The team they lost to in Kansas State was good this year, but good has to be graded on a curve. What Georgia and Alabama do is different from what everybody else in the sport is doing, except maybe Ohio State. I think one of the big surprises of the season is that Michigan was able to do that late in the game to Ohio State. That Ohio State looked like a professional team to me as well. Marvin Harrison Jr. is clearly an NFL receiver.
To your point, TCU lost to Kansas State in the Big 12 final. I think still got into the playoffs. Alabama beat Kansas State in the bowl game by 25 points. I mean, dominated them.
There is nothing. I heard this on a couple podcasts on the way in. Like, there is nothing that could have prepared TCU for what they faced last night. They played a really good Big 12 schedule. They played in a conference championship game. They played Michigan in the semifinal. This is just a different level. I don't think that Kirby's smart because he just was always standing next to Nick Saban. It's going to take him a while to get the reputation as like one of these unstoppable coaches. The guy recruits his ass off. The guy builds an incredible coaching staff. Like, Kirby Smart is one of these guys now.
You're saying
these
that
guys
Kirby
that
Smart
matters.
is now walking into living rooms assless. You're saying that he's recruited so much that his ass is fallen off, in some neighborhood.
I mean, he got to, he played an underdog card all season, which was bizarre. Like, nobody believes in you, except we're number one in the polls. We've had a number one recruiting class for 5 straight years.
But I do think it's not nobody believed in us, but I do believe that, like the Kansas City Chiefs, we've normalized their greatness. It's a little droning now. They've gotten to the spot that USC was in before Alabama was in that spot, where you're watching every week and you're like, will they lose? Can they lose? You're not watching to see them win or how.
15 pros last year.
No, but Woody, that's the card. As a coach, that's the card you pull out when you're out of cards. No one respects us.
Right.
He knows everyone respects him.
Right. And what he means is it's Alabama, Saban. And now finally we're that guy. We're Saban, we're Alabama right now. They have to come after us.
Yes.
And so that card is not available to him beginning next season.
Whittingham was a little distraught last night because basically since right before the decision on who would be playing in the college football playoff, Nick Saban has been in total sales mode. Whatever TCU and Georgia were trying to do for recruiting, Nick Saban, through the insurance commercials and through making himself available, is trying to do the recruiting without playing in the games. Whittingham was disturbed and bothered by Saban turning on the charm for the cameras and using that as an opportunity to sell the Alabama program for a few hours, because this is part of the grift, right? This is the bowl games and college football television is a tremendous business for ESPN. And Nick Saban has an enormous advantage by just being able to pick up a phone and saying, hey, can I have the maximum access of your big stage to just sit there and sell my program by just being me and having people talk about me and my program in the middle of the big game, even though I lost twice this season and am not playing in any of the big games.
Yeah, can I do pre-half and post? And the answer is absolutely. Come on in.
Well, who would say no to that?
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
why would the network say no to having Nick Saban on there?
But for me, the annoying bit was like, I saw him laughing, and I'm like, you're not supposed to laugh. You're the curmudgeon guy. I don't like you. Don't make me like you, Nick Saban.
Don't force me to like you.
But you know what though? Like, I sort of get it, because like you'll see every once in a while a video will like pop up of him doing like the cha-cha slide at a recruiting,
he's charming,
on a recruiting visit, and you read in the book The Blind Side how Michael Orr was recruited by Nick Saban and he really liked him. He found him really charming, and I'm reading the book going, what? Who? Like, how? Wait, Nick Saban was charming? That can't be real. And And to see it actually come to life, him actually laughing at a joke that was said on set, I'm like, wait, he can laugh? That's not and you can get why he's recruited well for 20 years.
I love in the Marty Smith pieces when he takes all the new freshmen or whatever it is that come to his lake and they go out on the boat and he drags them around on like what's it called? The tube. And the smirk that he gives when they fall off. Like it's just like he's driving and then they fall off and he's just like, yeah.
I believe Jalen Hurts told us on God Bless Football that Saban tried to drown him.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah, he tries to knock the players off and drown them.
And when he does, that smirk that you get from Saban is just like, this is what it's about.
Bama recruit injured in watercraft accident.
Put it on the poll, please, Guillermo. Did you know that Nick Saban was cha-cha charming? I did not know that there was any video anywhere of him doing what has been described as the cha-cha. I did not know that anyone was doing the cha-cha.
Oh, yeah, Dan, there's stories. Like, he'll show up at recruits' houses. He'll dance. He'll go to parties. He dances at the
Cupid
holiday
Shuffle?
parties. Yeah.
Like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Electric slide.
Can you please explain to me, or can someone perform whatever is the cha-cha? I've heard the cha-cha as a dance. I don't know
It's
what
not
the
like
cha-cha
dancing.
is.
It's not like Dancing with the Stars cha-cha. It's like the cha-cha slide. To the right now, y'all. You see the confidence leaking out of me as I said that?
Is
White
that's
guys,
the cha-cha?
Jesus, what do you
You have delivered something that is supposed to be festive, loving, soulful, perhaps in the most starched way I have ever heard.
Two hops this time.
Crisscross.
I'm impressed. I just Googled the phrase Nick Saban dancing, and a video comes up that shows him doing the Cupid Shuffle. And let me tell you something, that guy's got moves.
Yeah.
He is fluid.
Yep.
He
And
is
he's into it.
smooth.
Like he's right in the middle there with the entire
Yeah.
family. Same video.
Yeah.
It's great.
We're going to get funky.
The opposite of Greg Cody. I remember the last cruise we went on. We were out there, you got to at least once a cruise go out and do that type of dance
yeah.
with the whole family.
Oh, it's the
And
best.
everyone in my family
Right foot, let's stomp.
kind of has it going. You're not great at it, but you're following along. My dad has no clue what's going on. He's not realizing that you're hearing what to do in the lyrics. So he's just out there with his Miller Lite, just dancing in a circle.
how you
Like, Dad,
do it.
we're all doing a thing here. He had
One
no
guy,
clue.
the one guy who's not doing the steps, who's not doing
I didn't
to
know I
the
was
right
supposed to
yell.
follow instructions. Come on.
Take it back now, y'all.
Can you describe the Cupid Shuffle to the audience, what it entails?
It's the hands are up, the hands are near the waist,
Cupid shot.
and I don't even know how to. It's just a little hip.
It's to the
wiggle.
right, to the
Final
right,
countdown?
to the right,
Yeah.
to the left, to the left, to the left.
Right.
Now kick. Now kick.
Where
now
does
rock
Cupid,
it by yourself.
Where does Cupid come in though?
This is called the Cupid Shuffle.
Why is Cupid dancing? He's shooting arrows at people to make them fall in love. He's got no time to dance.
Put it on the poll, please, Guillermo. Does Cupid have time to dance at LeBatard Show? McAfee and Saban got along how? I saw a lot of people talking about Saban being disarmed by McAfee, the energy confused by McAfee, that all of it was a little too energetic for Nick Saban, who was there to do his job of, I'm here for sales. I'm here to use this platform. Actually, McAfee's there for the same reason.
Yep.
They are both there for sales, using the platform very well.
McAfee did like a 1 minute rant on why he was picking Georgia, and at the end of it, Lee Corso and Nick Saban both looked like they needed a nap. It was just like, wait, what was that? all to say Georgia by 2 touchdowns,
Bold pick.
What was the spread in that football game?
13.5.
Yeah.
And what was the total? What was the over/under?
I think it hit at 59-7. So I'm gonna guess somewhere between 62 and 69.
None of you made it through to the end, right? Did any of you make it to
No.
the second half? Did any of you make it even to?
I made it to halftime. That's how I saw, Pollock talking about Georgia right next to Nick Saban.
I got home from the Cyclones draft, saw the score at halftime, and didn't watch any of the second half.
Who'd you take?
We can get to that later.
Let's not do that.
The roster's shuffled.
I heard about that. I'm very sad. Very sad. What's befallen the.
I mean,
Cestus
when you
Cyclones.
win one title and you finish runner up in another, other people are gonna come for your stuff.
Dad, what are
man.
you
That's
sad
right.
about? What did you hear?
Because we no longer can say "willin' it," which
That's
I
true.
invented, patent pending. Willin' it, and now Will
Williams.
has been absconded. to another team.
Kind of glad that we don't have the association with a near tragic life event, though. So there's that. On the plus side.
What happened?
Well, that chant was born after Greg Cody fainted at highlight.
True.
It was like he was like standing 30 minutes after passing out, and all of us being terrified, and we knew he was okay because he shouted, "Well in it,"
and it caught on.
Maybe he was talking about himself.
Hold on.
About his will.
Mike, I haven't seen the reporting on what happened with Jeremy Renner. I saw that a lot of people were afraid for him, that he was trending because he's an outdoorsman and he had some sort of accident and I didn't read the following details. It seems like he got trapped under some equipment. He was trying to help friends. We've seen Stugotz. I don't know, in sports, we saw with, was it Blake Bortles? Or am I confusing him? There was a former Jags quarterback,
Blaine Gabbert,
excuse me.
Not terrible.
I can understand how you can confuse that era of quarterbacking from Jacksonville.
What you can't do is confuse Doug Peterson with Doug Marrone from that era of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But we had him be a bit of a hero, and we also had Peyton Hillis was trying to save his drowning boys. Jeremy Renner was not trying to help friends.
No, he was. He was. I've seen reports. There hasn't been a thorough reporting done on it, but I've seen on aggregate sites and on Twitter that he was being a good Samaritan, helping tow someone's car, and he somehow, and the details on how he got stuck under his own snowplow aren't readily available to me, but he got stuck underneath it. This is a very heavy vehicle.
It's like 14,000 pounds.
It did considerable damage to his legs. Luckily, his neighbor, it was around the Lake Tahoe area, his neighbor was a doctor that ran to his aid, put a tourniquet around his leg, may have saved his life, we'll see what the damage is with his leg. Jeremy Renner is celebrating his 52nd birthday in the ICU. He's active on social media, which, I mean, obviously super beat up from the incident, but it was looking like the situation was very dire, and he could have died from this one instance of being a good Samaritan, and things went a little sideways with him. I don't know if you've seen his photos.
That's why I did notice some of his photos from ICU. I was surprised that he was putting himself out that vulnerably, that physically beat up, but I imagine
his hair does look amazing, though.
And he still looks like a movie star.
His hair is...
Of course he does.
It made me smile a little bit like Hollywood's still good at Hollywood, because for that selfie, got to get the hair team in there because they were in there. But
wait a minute. Are you? What? That's one of the things you're noticing. Are you?
What, his hair looks spectacular.
Everyone noticed that. I think he even might have commented on it himself that his hair was done for the selfie because it looked great.
You guys are accusing him of having work done to properly present to the audience. This is a pretty big moment, right? Jeremy Renner, a lot of people were concerned about him because the details were sketchy on what kind of on both what kind of danger he was actually in and what it is that had fallen on him, because he is very active on social media and people were already interested in all the outdoor stuff that he's doing, right? Because he lives a pretty rugged life.
Yeah, kind of like Hawkeye in a sense. Colin Farrell's given interviews saying that he's good friends with Jeremy Renner, and that Jeremy Renner is obviously in good spirits, and you can see that from social media. He almost died doing this. The photos outside of his hair are pretty shocking. He looks pretty unrecognizable.
Do we know? We can't know now whether his legs, like what kind of damage was done. We don't know.
I assumed he was going to lose his legs at the very least when the reports came out there. So far, it seems as though everything's intact.
He was driving a snowcat, and he got out of it to help people. It started to move away because he didn't put it in park, and then he chased it down and tried to hop back in it as it was moving. But his hair does look spectacular.
And had it done professionally, you're telling me, you guys, and admits to having it done. Everyone is marveling at that he still looks like the beautiful action star who has.
No, but the hair does. Yeah. His eyes are still blacked out from the incident. His face really swollen from being trapped underneath the snowplow.
I don't want to make light of this situation, but just I'm wondering in the coming years, because we didn't discuss it earlier this week, how many stories are we going to hear moving forward of J.J. Watt saving people by his cabin of all kinds of things in the future?
You want him as a neighbor.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's explore this for a second. At LeBatard Show, do you want J.J. Watt as a neighbor? Stugotz, I believe, is the most ardent and public hater of J.J. Watt anywhere to be found nationally or internationally. J.J. Watt, since college, has been carefully crafting an image that is very palatable to the American people. Russell Wilson somehow lost those people, Stugotz, and now we make fun of him at every turn for reports that he's got an office in the Broncos facility, which makes everyone picture him coming into the office dressed in Broncos gear with a briefcase.
Well, what'd you make of all his teammates at the same time coming to a very public defense that has been absent?
That at the same time you hit kind of strong.
Well, it was certainly a coordinated effort. They were all struck for the first time all season to give a public defense of Russell Wilson.
I would ask you whether you're being cynical there or you believe, because you say the at the same time, whether you believe that this has been such a disaster of a season. It happens quick in that sport, man. It matters to be the ones that get chosen, the golden children for the commercials, Stugotz. And Russell Wilson has taken a beating this year. You're not good anymore. And, man, he seems like he's super interested in being able to market off of being Russell Wilson for a long time, and that evaporated fast on him. So I imagine Russell Wilson, you can't have a public reputation of this guy. His teammates don't like him. They think he's an asshole. They think he's a fraud. They think he's a company man. They think what you think. But J.J. Watt has some of that, and Stugotz is the only one on the side of publicly bashing J.J. Watt on that front because
it's too much.
I would love to have him as a neighbor.
But why?
Have you seen me? I can't screw in a light bulb.
And you think JJ's doing it for you? Like without a camera in front of his face? Get out of here.
And a ladder.
Right.
And without a ladder. He'll just come over and...
Mike, unless you ask for help with a full television crew, we ain't helping you. I mean...
Oh, my God.
I love that.
Do you actually interact with... Does anyone here interact with their neighbors?
I was going to ask that question. As homeowners, because I live in an apartment building, and I sort of know people by their faces. And
but
I know
old
that's
Canadian people.
That's
as
that guy
told
from
us.
down the hall. But I don't interact with my neighbors. So who are these people that like if like in a pinch I'm gonna call JJ Watt over? He's gonna cut my tree branches down or something for me.
Straight up, never have met one of my neighbors. And I'm on friendly terms with my other next door neighbor.
I'm kind of like that too, but it's shocking for Whitty because you're so pleasant. So it's just like shocking that when you go home, you're like, fuck off.
I'm into Brian Cox.
I learn all the time the strangest things about how people have grown up differently. Because Greg Cody, Chris's dad, has lived in the same neighborhood his entire life, and so invariably things are going to pop up in life that are going to make you go over there and say, I need some help with something. This is a community. That's probably dying now, listening to you guys of how disconnected all of us. Now, I don't think that's true in small town America. I don't believe it's true in neighborhoods you've grown up in all your life, but I'm fairly shocked to hear all of you say, yeah, I don't interact with my neighbors.
The only sense of community I get is at Miami Hurricanes basketball games and baseball games.
My wife does neighborhood group. She's in a group chat though with the neighborhood, where we're like watching out for stuff. So it's like we rarely communicate in person.
Game.
But there's like, hey, did you see this car? What happened here? So there is like a group. There is communication with my wife and the neighbors, but it's never in person or socializing. It's all just like, did you see that?
I've heard horror stories about like the Nextdoor app or the neighborhood like Facebook group page where people are like, this person was on my Ring camera and they rang the doorbell, and it's like, yeah, that was my daughter. She went to the wrong house. Like,
there's always a ringleader.
Every
neighborhood group chat has a ringleader. Like the person who's watching everything. She's got the scoop on
Complaining
everything.
about
Yes,
everything.
complaining. Knows the HOA association. Like knows one of the people in the HOA association. It's a whole thing. There's I'm learning all this.
A weird amount of surveillance happening, right? Like there's always people watching everyone else and judging and talking about it.
I think one of the funny things that's happening here, though, is every one of you, though, would all of a sudden be interacting with your neighbors if your neighbor was J.J. Watt.
Well, no. I mean, maybe Mike would. I don't think I would interact. I wouldn't interact with any neighbor. I just moved, Dan.
Stugotz.
I can't name a single person who lives to the left, the right, across the street from me. I can't name
But
any
you
of
just
them.
got there. You
No,
just
I'm saying I just left my house 10 years. I don't know anybody.
You're in the same community, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I don't know any of my neighbors.
You
I
don't play
couldn't name
golf
them
with
by
any of
name.
them?
No, I do not.
Can
You
I
just play golf by yourself?
No, I play golf. There's a couple of guys in the neighborhood I play golf with. They're not
Stu,
my neighbors,
don't,
though.
Don't let people shame you into doing doing things by yourself is sad. If you want to play golf,
I play
by
golf all the
yourself,
time by
it's
myself.
great.
No. I
It's
love
fantastic.
playing. I love playing golf by myself. I'm saying the guys that I do play golf with in the neighborhood are not my neighbors. I couldn't name one of my neighbors.
You guys are buying what Stugotz is selling, that if J.J. Watt was his neighbor, that he wouldn't be trying to go over there all the time?
He'd be a regular on God Bless Football, no question.
He'd have a regular invitation. He wouldn't come on.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Remember back in the day when people would be like, "Oh, hi neighbor, I ran out of eggs. Can I borrow an egg?" The number of times that that's happened to me in the last 5 years, because I bake a lot and I'll run out of eggs and I'll be like, well, goddamn, I don't know a single person here that I can ask for an egg. What's happened to our society?
I believe that's what's getting lost here. If you guys are representative of what's happening throughout America, you guys are telling me that it's borderline extinct, endangered, the idea of borrowing a cup of sugar from your neighbor.
Hop in the car, go to Publix, and get a cup of sugar.
Well, this happened to me on.
Is there a cat in here?
My microphone just went flaccid for a second.
Sounded like a cat.
God. This happened to me on Christmas Day. I didn't have enough eggs to make dessert, and there was nothing open. And I was mad at my dad because he said he had bought eggs, but the eggs that he had bought were from 6 months earlier, and they had already expired. And so I had to do the egg test. Have you ever done the egg test where you put the eggs in a cup of water, and if they sink, they're good, but if they float, they're bad?
Wait.
No.
Oh, dangerous game.
It sounds
I
like
was
you're wasting eggs.
This does not. How was I wasting eggs? White woman. White.
Borrowing eggs?
This
knowing a lot
seems
about eggs?
misogynist because I bake.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You guys
Borrowing
are
eggs?
misogynists.
I don't think that.
Oh, you put the egg in the shell in the water. I thought you were cracking an egg and dumping it in the water. I'm
you
like, well,
don't
that's why
crack
you
the
ran out of your
egg
eggs.
into the
There's the
water.
problem right there.
You wasted one. Yeah.
Billy, you thought she wasn't testing.
You know, I test eggs, I
Eggs
cook
in the
them, and then if my
shell.
tummy hurts, I go, that was a bad one.
You put the egg in a cup of water, and if it sinks, it's still good, and if it floats, it's bad.
You can do that test with poop too. That is a test of your obviously you're not doing it with a glass, but whether your poop floats or not, some poop floats, some poop sinks to the bottom of the toilet.
But
You
you're
want it
saying
to sink?
I'm not sure which is good. I just know that some poop floats and some
Okay,
doesn't.
very
Sometimes
good.
it
Not a
disappears
test.
completely. I mean,
What?
it freaks me out every time. Yeah.
What?
Just go straight down the pipe.
Oh, and it's
Yeah.
gone, and you
Yeah.
look down.
Yeah.
And then you start
Where's my poop?
you second guess yourself.
So
Yeah.
just a rocket, a weighted rocket of shit. Excellent. Thank you guys for bringing us here. It's important.
I'm gonna look up whether it's good for your poop to float or sink.
It's based on your
What?
diet. It's like
Jessica was asking, and please help us here, but what Jessica was talking about is measuring, testing the health of an egg, whether it's good or not. You're arguing that shit is a positive bowel movement to have if it sinks or if it floats. That's what you're arguing, that one is better than the other?
If it floats, you're having more fat, I think.
The internet says that floating stools are not usually a cause for concern, as they can result from gas being trapped in the stool and from a high fiber diet.
there you go.
So neither of them is
We don't
bad.
have answers, but we're all smarter.
Well, hold on a second, because without getting too personal here, I'm not super consistent. Like sometimes it does one, sometimes it does another.
You got to get in our poop group chat.
Oh, that's right.
Me, Whitty, Amin El Hassan, and Brad Williams. We have a poop chat.
I am shocked to learn that Whittingham is in a poop chat.
Yeah, same.
I'm not.
We're trying to do a study, a long-term study on how regular we all are. So we all just put the poop emoji in when we poop. Brad didn't poop yesterday.
That's the
Brad
whole
Williams
thing?
did not poop on Sunday.
Is someone putting this into an Excel spreadsheet?
Just
at some
it's just a
point?
group chat right now.
How are you measuring?
But it was funny having
What
to.
are you doing with the results?
It was interesting having to explain to my wife when on Apple CarPlay the other day. It just popped up shit chat parentheses shat, and I was like,
At least you don't send pictures.
It's work, honey.
Some people send pictures, which to me, I don't understand. That
People
at all.
don't do that.
Yeah, people do that.
Who does that?
People do that.
Do.
He's back.
The only time I talk about poop regularly is about my dog. And all dog owners do this. You talk about their poop so often, you just become numb to it. Yeah. Constantly like, oh, did she poop? No. Did she poop? Yeah. Good poop today. Poop looked fine. Awesome. She pooped 3 times. That's all you do when you're a pet owner. Yeah.
Again, Chris Cody came to the microphone with poop talk, and we have determined that not one is healthier or better than the other. And it has nothing to do with what it is Jessica was talking about, which is the measuring of eggs and the original conversation we were having, which is, do you talk to your neighbors? I can't believe that all of you are antisocials. Billy, I would have guessed that you were somebody who interacted with your neighbors because of the sense of community, family, and not being reclusive. And not because you need to borrow things, but just whatever. There's a Marlins fan in the neighborhood or something.
So my direct next door neighbors are a married couple who are 85 and 86. Very lovely. The other side, we're having a bit of an issue. So I can't get too far into it.
Well, there's that part of it too now.
There's a bit of an issue that's
you're
come
going
up on a number of times.
So you're going the other way on this. It's not merely now that you don't want to interact with your neighbors just because you're antisocial. You are now actively feuding with one of your neighbors because of
my dog
inappropriate
goes out and
behavior.
often comes back into the house soaking wet from a hose, so we're having a bit of an issue. Yeah, and we got an apology not too long ago, and I thought, okay, well, we'll put this to rest. It'll be fine. And then the dog came back wet again a couple times last week, so...
Being punished
I'll
for
fight
something, or
No more Mr. Nice Billy.
no? This is a bit of an issue now. These things can they can escalate.
Well, trying to figure out the proper way to handle this. I'm thinking of building like a fence or something that's high up so he can't get things too wet in the future. It's a whole thing. I tell my wife, please just let's not escalate this. Let's
You
not
can
make
build a
things
fence.
I'm
worse.
escalating it for you.
Dude, I built a swing
Don't
set.
spray my
You
dog
can't
with
build a
hose.
fence.
That's not true.
It is true. Santa Claus brought a swing set and bum didn't build it. Yeah. Bad weather. Santa
That
left
guy's an
me a
ass.
swing set to build.
Do you guys think this will change when your kids get older? Because I thought kids brought neighbors and neighborhoods together as well. Are your kids too young for there to be these kinds of interactions?
I mean, my kids, no, they did not interact with any of their neighbors. No.
Not growing
It's
up?
a different time. Like, yeah, you and I, we used to go outside, run around in the street. Whoever was out there playing was out there playing. Whether we knew them or not, we'd hang out with them. They'd invite us in for dinner. We didn't know who they were. We'd eat dinner there. No one seemed to care. My mom would come out, call my name, tell me to come home. I'd come home, but they're growing up at different times. And down here in Florida, everything is so spaced out, it's really hard to get to know your there's no real neighborhoods.
That's
It's
your
weird.
That
It's
is
Not
what
everything.
No, you're
Everything
living in
is a
rich
neighborhood
man's
or
land,
development in
Stugotz.
Florida.
Jesus Christ.
Stu's like,
Stugotz.
that house is far away.
They built golf courses in the middle of neighborhoods
All
now.
the
It's
homes have
crazy.
golf
There's a whole
courses
hole in
between
between.
them.
I mean,
I moved in to my home summer of 2020, so knocking around doors and introducing yourself wasn't really something you would do then. So it was an odd time. And I just never got around to it after that.
And I guess then what also dies is the idea of somebody new coming to the neighborhood or moving into a new neighborhood and a neighbor showing up with a cake or something. This is the most absurd thing in the world, right?
Well, my neighborhood does seem to be very communal. There's a group chat that I'm not a part of. They do stuff for Halloween. I'm just not that type of dude, as you can tell from.
But if JJ
previous
Watt was in the
segments
group
we've done.
chat, you would probably be in it.
JJ would just have so many tips on how to do everything better than you're doing it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, your hedges look a little crooked there. And it's like, JJ, can we go back to playing football, buddy? Like, please, come on. Give me a break.
You've got JJ Watt doing his own hedges.
I'd have JJ Watt telling you how to do what you're doing.
no, I have someone
differently.
doing them perfectly and him telling you that he did his own hedges.
Well,
Yes.
let's now imagine, because again, none of
I'm
us
like
here.
the Michael Jordan of just putting my hand up. Hey, how's it going?
Yep, nice wave. See ya.
The hand up. That's friendly. Usually it's just like a nod, like chin up.
Have a
Little.
good day.
You're the Michael Jordan of
Yeah.
raising one hand to a neighbor.
Yeah, was that the Subaru again? Hey.
A nod.
Right, and it's like the half-hearted, like the lips are together.
The Michael Jordan
It
of
usually
it.
sounds something like "Hello."
You're acknowledging
Great day.
hell? Wait, now you guys
I've
are
done it, Mike. I know.
You guys are now adding words to it.
One wave, not even. The hand just goes one direction.
It could just be a sound sometimes.
You guys work in maybe this week? Like, Happy New Year.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, I do that.
Do you ever do the two fingers up like this?
No, I do a thumbs up. I like to give a thumbs up to people.
Ah, good thumbs
there
up.
you go.
I'm never giving a
Good
thumbs up.
Oh, you got to try it. It's great. For
I'm
you.
way more friendly with a neighbor type if I'm passing them in the neighborhood in our cars.
Do you guys go
Then
for
I'll
walks?
give them more like, hey, how's it going?
Right.
Whereas if we're like, if we're in person, I'm less likely to win.
When I first
You might avoid them.
When I first moved into my home, I have a flagpole, and I have right now it's an Inter Miami flag. When I first moved in, it was a Browns thing, and it's right next to, fittingly enough, next to my garbage cans. And I walked out, and I'm putting trash away, and
Go Steelers!
And the neighbor was like, "Oh, you're a Browns fan. I'm an Eagles fan." And I'm like, the Browns had just beaten the Eagles that week, and now every conversation I have ever had with my neighbor is about the Eagles.
You're Browns guy.
Some dad's like, hey, I took the Browns to the Super Bowl.
That's your chat. That's your.
You're just gonna get the poop jokes in today, huh?
You insist.
It's a classic
That
Browns
was a
joke.
bad joke.
So bad. What kind of neighbor is JJ Watt? I now want to examine if you guys lived in the log cabin next to his, and for whatever reason,
I think he's that over the top. I think whoever said it is right. He's the guy who knows how to do everything and does it better than you. He's the guy you wake up one morning, he's mowing his lawn and your lawn. He's the guy who's just overly chummy, overly good at keeping his house maintained, keeping his lawn proper. He makes you feel bad about yourself. And, like, I have no desire to live next to J.J. Watt. I'm not saying I wouldn't try to chum up to him if he were living next to me, because I probably would, because I did it to Bob Ojeda when I was a kid. I mean, he lived right down the street from me. Me and Bobby O hung out. He got in a gardening accident, cut his finger off. It was amazing.
there is.
Look it up, Bill.
Stugotz is not lying about that.
Amazing, those strange words.
Yeah, I would have gone for a different adjective than amazing.
You never had a toss with Bobby O in the backyard? I mean, I have.
But the cutting off of the finger, it was amazing. Seems like you just ran out of correct words to use and
You're
chose amazing instead. The rest of you, though, if J.J. Watt were your neighbor, he's not cutting anybody's lawn. He's not going to be doing his own lawn. But being next door, you think he's going to be vocally judgmental of your lawn care?
Of your lack of lawn care.
You think that he's going to come in and butt his nose in, that his interaction...
And you put up a flagpole, he puts up one that's 10 times taller and bigger. I mean, you have an American flag, his American flag is 5 times the size of your American flag. You go out and get a bald eagle, he'll get 3 bald eagles. I mean, that's what...
A bird feeder for bald eagles he's going to have right near his American
Your
flag.
mailbox isn't up to code. Things like that is what you're going to constantly hear about. Yeah.
What is he going to do now with his public, now that his public image is no longer, he's not going to be a football player anymore. He's going to be a former football player.
He's going to be a dad, which is the most important job of all, Dan. I like the next to moms and teachers, pay them all. In Wales, save them. So you knock on the door at J.J. Watt's house and you complain about the Eagles. Hey, JJ, big fan, love everything that you did. The Eagles, the droppings. Can we talk about the Eagles? Is there anything that we can do? Nope. All right. Then I just put my hand up and then never talk to him again.
See you, Gary.